Okay. We're back. And we are light because it's gone dark outside by this point. We've got a fun game to talk about today. I think that this is a very satisfying game. We've got a lot of things that, if you asked me before the game that I would like to see, I got to see. Which is something I would like. Obviously, we've won the game 3-0, and as the title and thumbnail suggests, it's pretty much game over for Legia Warsaw in the second leg. I think we can very comfortably go to that fixture now and rest players, play a lot of the young guys, give players opportunities that they otherwise probably wouldn't get. And that's a good result for us. Let me do my quick checks, just pop the chat out, etc. Yo, welcome in. But yeah, just overall very satisfying game from a number of different perspectives here. And I'm going to go through the bingo first, and then we'll go through the 7 points that I usually do. I've had to do a duo one, as I usually do, with a couple of players, because there's a lot of players I wanted to talk about. And the majority of the things I will say today are going to be positive ones. I know a lot of people are probably hoping or expecting for reactionary, "Oh, we were so terrible in the first half" type of opinions, but I'm not a person that has those types of opinions, so there we are. Let's get into the the bingo card first, because we did get a few things off the bingo card today. So let's get the pen out and we can do this. That is on screen, right? Yeah, cool. So the first thing we have is Kiernan Dewsbury Hall goal/assist. Now, I don't think he didn't get a goal. I'll talk about Kiernan in a little bit. He didn't get a goal. I'm not sure if he got an assist for one of the goals. I know Sancho got two. I would suggest that because he won the penalty that eventually led us to get a goal, I would like to tick this off, but I don't think I can. I'm gonna quickly see if I can find the actual stats here, if they've given him an assist for anything. I'm blanking on what I'm doing right now. There we go. Did he get a goal or assist here? I don't think he did, but just want to be thorough. No, he did not. He played very well though. He did not get a goal assist, so this one doesn't get ticked off. We do finally get, and I'm so happy about this, George assist, a George goal rather. We have been waiting. He has been so good at getting assists and been so lively in recent games, but for him to finally get off the mark is so good for him. I'm so glad that he got this, and it also just kind of the type of goal he scored is something that, again, I'll talk about this a little bit more later, but it's something I really want to see. We get a clean sheet. Yes, we do. Fight breaks out. Absolutely not. This did not happen. So we didn't get this. Flares on the pitch. I'm going to tick this off. There wasn't flares technically on the pitch, but the stadium was so smoky that I'm going to count this. Early goal. No, we did not get this. We get a shimmy up because Mweka came off the bench. I feel a bit bad for him. He actually played relatively well. I feel like if he was given that extra 25 minutes of like a half, he would have been able to get on the score sheet. We don't get Caicedo didn't play today, which I'm really happy about. I'm really happy that Caicedo didn't play today because he needs the rest. Game of two halves, absolutely. Unlikely goal scorer. I mean, I guess you could count George as an unlikely goal scorer. He hasn't scored before, so I'll take that. Player book for dissent, did not see this. Obviously, Caicedo didn't play. Basketball in full flow. We did see this at times in the second half, so I'll take this off. Ref/VAR mistake. I don't think the refs made many mistakes. There was one thing in the first half where they had a bit of a flop and they kind of got fooled by it, but not going to be against the refs today. I think they did a pretty good job. Amugu. I can't believe we're saying it. We got an Amugu app. I can't believe it. We got an Amugu app. A worldie. I don't think we got any worldies. A lot of our goals were tap-ins, so can't really do that. We almost got a worldie from Kiernan in the first half, but that didn't happen. Nonzino FIFA Street. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he completely terrorized his fullback when he came on. So that's going to go on there. Correct prediction. I didn't actually say this in the video, but I posted about it on the community tab afterwards. I did predict 2-1. And in fact, we did one better than that, or two better than that. In fact, so we got 3-0. So no, that doesn't go off. Set piece goal. I don't think any of our goals came from a set piece. I'm not sure. not directly from a set piece anyway, so I don't think I'll count this. When I'm on vacation, the camera is okay. Palmer gets another, he did not. Another injury, we did not get another injury. We did get Josh in midfield though, which is very, very good. He was so good in that midfield area. And of course, advantage Chelsea. Now, is there any way that I can scam a bingo here? I don't think there is. We've got like ones missing on every single one. That's really annoying. I think that's it's a good question to ask about that. And I was kind of thinking about this the other day. It's because they are players that work very, very well against tired legs. It's much easier to defend against the winger if you're both at the same fitness level from the start of the game and you're tracking them and they're tiring at the same time that you're tiring and that type of thing. Whereas when you've already played like 60 or like 45 minutes, let's say, and then a winger comes on absolutely fresh and rushes at you, you don't have that level of sharpness that the other player that you're against really has. And especially players like Madueke, who's really tricky, or like Neto, who's really pacey. It's just one of those things where you're just like, what can I do? I can't keep up. And as time goes on and you get further into the game, obviously they're going to tire a little bit, but you're going to tire more because you tire more towards the end of games than you would from like 0 minutes to 45. So I think that's part of the reason why they're so good at that. I think overall Madueke is just in general just our best winger. I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, no bingos today, which is unfortunate. But we did get quite a few things checked off, and we got some of the things which are a bit weird checked off today, which is nice. Yeah, Misha would have been good as well. Yeah, he's another one where like you can tell that Misha is way better against against players when he comes off the bench because he's just so quick and they can't really keep up with him. Let's bring the Feeling Blue to the forefront. I've just realised the bingo card is slightly higher than it usually is, so it's glitching at the top there. But as usual, I will do my 7 points and then we can vote on the true blue. But yeah, we go from good to bad. There's only going to be one thing in the bad box today. You guys probably know what that will be. We'll talk about that first because I want to get that off the table before I start get the negatives out of the way before I just completely praise the rest of our players pretty much. And let's get into it right now. It's Nkunku. Man, I don't know what more I can say about this guy without it being like toxic, like genuinely. I get that he's not playing in a position that he's particularly fond of or a position that he's particularly good at. But again, it's the lack of effort when he plays up top that really bothers me. I will say he was pressing a little bit more than we've seen him this game. I will say that. But I mean, you're playing against Legia Warsaw. I'd kind of expect that. The blue balloon has popped. I don't think it got inflated in the first place, if I'm being honest. It's just stayed in the sock. The blue balloon has stayed in the sock. But yeah, he's so flat and lethargic, and I do think I will give him his credit. I think he was better in the second half, but when he was playing in that kind of Palmer role, and by better, that doesn't mean good. That just means not utterly dreadful. And the thing which really like kind of sums it up for me is that when you have a player like Tyreek George put in the same position that you were playing, and within the space of about 5 minutes, he completely shows you up in that position when he is a youth player that plays on the wing. He's used to playing out wide. Obviously, he does cut inside, so he's a little bit more of an inside forward, I would suggest, Tyreek. But when he plays hardly any football in comparison to you, and he's a youth player, and he's not scored a goal in his Chelsea career for the men's first team this season, and he comes on the bench or comes into your position and completely shows you up in about 5 minutes, is just embarrassing for a player that is one of the senior players in the team. He should be entering his prime years because he's 25, 26, somewhere around there. Getting into those like late to mid 20s is when you should start being at your best. It's like the start of the peak, as I would suggest. And yeah, again, it's just embarrassing for him because I feel like last game against Brentford he was utterly woeful. He got hooked at half time because he was poor. Maybe that was that half time substitution was a planned thing in advance. Because obviously we wanted to get Jackson 45 minutes, but I'm not sure. He gets hooked at half time. We look instantly better when he's off the pitch, and then he comes into this game, and I really felt like this was last chance saloon for him in that he needed to have a good performance here. And then, of course, even after he has all of those, the terrible performance, and we shift all the team around, he gets to take the penalty, and it's not a good penalty, really. I mean, Yeah, the keeper makes a save. I guess that's the one thing you could say is that at least he hasn't missed the goal. The keeper has made a save, but it's just far too central, not in the corners. And yeah, um, I would have preferred Madueke to take the penalty because he's never missed one for us, I don't believe. Um, so I would have rather him to take the penalty. Obviously, if Palmer was on, he would have taken the penalty and probably would have scored it. But yeah, and maybe I'm being harsh there because the environment was quite hostile, but still, yeah, this was just a bad day at the office for Nkunku, and I generally think that his time at Chelsea is over. I think as well, it's actually quite nice that he's one of the players that I would personally sell this summer because I think that he's one of the players that, because of his value outside of the Premier League and the value that he's provided while he was playing for PSG and for Leipzig, I feel like he's a player that kind of retains some market value in terms of being a sale. So hopefully we can actually get some funds for him, whereas others in his position I don't think would, like Joao Felix, for example. But yeah, just utterly woeful. Let's talk about some good things though, because I want to talk about some good things. I think, where should we start? I think I want to talk about Jadon Sancho first. I think I'm going to be putting Jadon Sancho in here. Now, I'm going to put him close to the medium box here because I don't think he had the best half in the first half, but he was playing on the right-hand side. Obviously, he's a player that likes to try and commit inside and try and get goals that way, and try and make things happen that way. He shifted over to the left in the second half and he had a very, very good half. It's weird because it wasn't even just the fact that he was like, it wasn't even the fact that obviously he gets more goal contributions in this half, but it just seemed like he was just way more alive in the second half, where he actually looked like he was combining with his teammates and actually like trying to drive into the box, which he wasn't doing before. And even though he was trying to sometimes take it on the outside in the first half against the left back, it didn't really work out for him. In the second half, he was actually driving into the box, actually committing players and getting 2 assists, which again, the assist for Madueke is really smart. I also just wanted to credit the fact that he actually took a few shots as well, which he rarely ever actually does. So yeah, good performance from Jadon. I think, yeah, it's one of those things where he's a player that again you could tell was quite low on confidence, and Nkunku's one of those as well. And I think that he kind of got some of that confidence back today. Hopefully he can, if he starts against Ipswich, he can have a similar performance. Though I think Neto probably will start that game considering he didn't get any minutes today. Spurs already 1-0 down. I don't even know who they're playing. I can't remember who they're playing. Let me take a quick gander. They're playing Frankfurt. And guess who's the goal scorer as well? Very, very, very interesting. Is Ekitike. He's one of Chelsea's transfer targets. Very interesting for that. But yeah. Next up, let's talk about a player that I don't think gets enough credit ever. And I always give the guy credit when he plays well. And I think that I genuinely saw people after the first half saying that he played poorly when I genuinely thought that he was one of the best players on the pitch in the first half. In the second half, he was even better. That's Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. On another day, on another evening, in another universe, he has 4 goals today. 4 goals. He was so good. He was always getting on the... And this is the thing, right? When you're playing with no striker, when you're playing with a false 9 or playing with a winger at that kind of in that position, and you don't have that box presence, it's imperative. It's absolutely imperative that your midfielders are making those runs into the box, and he was doing that all the time. He got into I said there was like 2 or 3 chances for him to score on his head. He didn't score that. He has the long ranger that gets saved. There was another one. Obviously, he had the opportunity to get a shot off in the box, but then he got hacked down. He wins the penalty. Really, really good performance. And I think genuinely one of the, if I actually go onto the stats of him, he has, yeah, apart from Jadon Sancho, in the starting 11, he has the best rating out of anyone in the game. Obviously, I would imagine that Noni Madueke on the bench is the highest rated player. Yeah, he is. So second highest rated player after Jadon Sancho, and that's without him getting a goal contribution as well, which is crazy. I think that he's really starting to come into his own. I think that he had a really shaky start because he was kind of, again, it's one of those things, it's the confidence, right? He didn't feel like he was a confident player. He went from being a starter from Leicester and getting over 25 goals slash assists in the first team to dropping out and being a rotational player, and that really could harm a player. And it kind of, you could tell from the sense and from his interviews that he's done that he really expected to play more football than he's actually done. And now that he's getting like regular games in the Conference League, and he's been getting some substitute appearances off the bench and stuff as well, which is what he wasn't getting before, I think he's really starting to come into his own. He's started to show like that kind of extra bit of bite that he's got about him. And he's, again, one of the things which I'll always say about him, I always say this about any player, and it's part of the reason why I don't like Nkunku, and it's that if you're going to have a bad game, or you're going to have a game where you don't get goal contributions, at least work your absolute socks off and actually play as hard as you can. And that's what he did today as well. Just utterly up and down the pitch all the time, and especially when we were playing in that weird formation. And I'll get onto this. I'll do a tactical breakdown for this game because it's really interesting. In the second half, we played that really weird kind of 2-2-5-1 type system. Really important for him to get up and down to support those two defenders at the back, and he was doing that as well as getting into the box and being a general nuisance. So yeah, very good performance from him. Speaking of the back, I did say that earlier. I think Nkunku was better at his press today, but again, a better Nkunku press is not particularly great. So there we are. Speaking of the back, let's talk about a player that, again, another one that's kind of gone under the radar in terms of having a very good performance, for me anyway. And a player that we know can have these good performances because we've seen it in the past, but he hasn't really shown it as much today, or as much in this season. And that's Benoit Badiashile. I think it was absolutely phenomenal today. Our defence in general was really, really good. And he was kind of part of the reason for that. Obviously, he played the full 90. Tosin came off for Levi Colwill, so he's obviously the more tired of the two. And I think that any time the ball went in behind, he dealt with it well enough. I think he was very sharp with his passing, which is something he hasn't been very good at in recent games. He's been a bit shaky with the ball, which is something he was always good at when he had that really good season before, when we first got him. But yeah, I think he had another really good game. And I do want to shout out Colwill and Tosin, even though they're not in here. I think they played very well as well. Especially Tosin being that kind of central centre back rather, and kind of spearing the passes through the middle. I think that's something that he's really good at. But obviously he comes off, so he doesn't play the full 90. Badiashile plays the full 90. Very, very solid. Clean sheet. Yeah. That's, when you keep him away from these Husky balls out, that's true. I think it's funny actually, and I'm actually gonna eat a bit of humble pie here and actually say that I was wrong. And I'm never a person that is afraid to admit when I'm wrong. I once said that I don't think that Levi Colwill and Badiashile could play together because that balance gets upset with them two both being left-footed. But in this slightly different system where it's more of a 3 than a 2, they can play together so well, and they complement each other really, really well. Because Badiashile's a player that is lengthy and can kind of go in behind when the ball goes in behind, but obviously he can kind of wrap around and get his left foot around things and play the ball around out wide, whereas Levi is the complete opposite, where he's not very aerially strong, but he's so good with the ball at his feet that he kind of wants to be receiving the ball from his other centre-back and then playing, rather than being the one actually doing the defending. So they complemented each other really, really well in that second half, and yeah, another great performance from Badiashile. Hopefully that continues. Now let's talk about I've got a joint point here, so I need to get the link out. You got a joint point because it's for the youngest players in the first team, let's say, and that's Josh Acheampong and Tyreek George. And let me see if I can put this above. Oh, it's not going to work. Regardless, these two are, yeah. I don't think I can really say much more superlatives. I think Acheampong was, and to my credit, it's exactly what I said in my stream before the game. I said he is a player that looks so calm, even under these kind of hostile environments. He never looks panicked. He never looks like he has to rush to do things. He never has like a poor touch and has to get back on the end of it and that type of thing. He was just, again, very calm, very collected, and defensively solid as well. He's part of the reason why we kind of had that clean sheet, and he was kind of stopping things in the middle of the park. He was always tracking back to get things, even when he was playing in that kind of inverted role at times. And he played in midfield. He was given, I think it's a credit to how good he was, in the fact that Enzo Maresca decided, hey, James is coming off, you're going to play in James's midfield position. You're good enough to play in that position. Whereas he could have left that to someone else. He could have brought on a different midfielder, for example, to play there. He trusted Josh to do that, and he's going to be an absolute superstar. Genuinely, in a couple of years, he's going to be in the England team. I guarantee it. He's so good at, again, just it's his maturity for his age is the thing that really like excites me and kind of shocks me when I see him play, because he's just so composed for a player that hasn't played very much first team football, and especially in comparison to other players, even including George, he hasn't played as much as some of the others because he was kind of shunned out when he wasn't signing his contract and things like that, and then when he signed his contract and got promoted to the first team, he's been a little bit behind Shalabar and things like that, so he hasn't played as much as the others, but he's well ahead of them in terms of maturity, and yeah, long may that form continue. George, on the other hand, as I said for the when I was talking about Nkunku, I think that he had a bit of a slow start in the first half. I think that he was trying to make things happen, but he wasn't really getting the runners off him. I felt Gusto, who I haven't put in one of my points here, I haven't put Gusto in one of the points. I think that he had a pretty good game in comparison to what he usually does, I would suggest. I don't think he was very poor. I think his final ball, again, needs to be improved a little bit more. His crosses were a little bit tame, but overall I think Gusto was very good getting up to support George. Apart from Gusto, no one really making runs for him to kind of pick out in the middle. Again, that's an Nkunku problem. But yeah, when he was kind of trying to cut inside, he was actually putting in the effort. In the second half, though, of course, he does the one thing that we always ask for wingers, we always ask for forwards, and it's the thing that Chelsea do not have for the majority of the time. It's being Johnny on the spot, being that fox in the box, reacting to shots when they go in. And it's part of the reason why I'm obviously not a football coach. I'm not a football coach. Even though I've done some coaching stuff, I'm not a football coach. I'm not a football coach at this level. I've always find it really annoying when teams don't just swing the ball into the box or don't just randomly take shots, because the thing with taking shots is that taking shots gives you opportunities that you wouldn't get if you don't take shots. We see that from this situation. I think it's James who hits the shot, deflects up into the path of George, and he's the first person to react to it before any of the defenders, before Nkunku's in the same position, before the goalkeeper, and he slots it away. And it's that kind of little spark that you just need. It's that as soon as that first goal comes in, it's like, okay, well, now we can step on and actually, with that confidence, and actually win the game really comfortably and put the tie to bed immediately. And again, it's just something that I say all the time, because we don't have shooters from midfield. I've mentioned it before. Loads of people always ask me, the question that I get asked more than pretty much any other question is, if I could bring back one Chelsea player from their prime, who would it be? And most people always say Didier Drogba, because we've had striker issues. I always say Frank Lampard, not only because he was just a phenomenal player and a great goal scorer, but the thing that he always provided was just shots from distance, which we don't have anymore. And creating that kind of confusion with a shot, even if it doesn't go in, although with Frank's case it more than likely did, if it doesn't go in, then at least you're going to get a chance to kind of make something messy and make a mistake happen, force those errors rather than kind of hope that they happen. I think that's part of the reason why we haven't had as much luck this season, I would suggest, is because we don't always kind of force our opposition to be uncomfortable. We don't always force them into situations where they will make mistakes playing out from the back, or will make mistakes trying to clear their lines. But again, George, very, very good in the middle. And in general, I think in the second half, his link-up play on the left-hand side was really, really good, because he was kind of drifting towards the left-hand side from that central position and allowing Nkunku to kind of be in the cam role. Making the runs in behind too. He was nearly picked out a few times. Yeah, just again, another solid performance. And again, getting his maiden goal puts him into this box as well. Next up, I'm going to talk about Enzo Maresca, and I'm going to be putting him in the good box. Now, a lot of people don't have patience. It's the one thing that I will always say about this fan base. United are 1-0 down as well. Oh god, what a day! What a day! What a day! Who are they playing? Are they playing like Olympiacos or someone like that? I don't know who they're playing. Let me check who they're playing. I've typed in United, it's come up with United Airlines. They're playing Lyon. Oh, has it been ruled out? It's not updating on my thing. They're playing Lyon. Is it an Onana howler? That's that's rather funny, considering the words that he's been saying in the media recently. Spurs equaliser, bloody hell. I really hope that Matic scores a goal. Just gives him one of those thunder cunts. That'd be great. Oh, I probably shouldn't say that on here. I'll get demonetized. Everyone pretend like I didn't say that. Anyway, Enzo Maresca. Now, again, one thing I always complain about this Chelsea fan base, it's not just because they're fickle, it's not just because they're reactionary, it's not just because they are, uh, lack of a better term, childish. The thing which really bugs me is the lack of patience that our team has, and it's one of these things where we have that poor first half, and it's not poor. We completely dominate the game. They don't get an absolute sniff of the ball. We just don't really create anything. And again, I don't think that's anything to do with tactics. I think that's just genuinely due to the fact that we did not have a box presence. We didn't have a striker. We're basically playing 10 versus 11. For us to be playing 10 versus 11 and to be completely dominating the ball, not giving Legia any sort of kind of sniff going backwards against us, and probing and wasting 45 minutes is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. If we waste the 45 minutes, that gives them absolutely no chance to get into the game. Then he makes the substitutions that they are in half time. They're very smart substitutions. They're very snide substitutions. They're very interesting because he's playing players in certain positions that you probably wouldn't expect. Like, for example, a Chempong playing in midfield, George going up top, and Kunku dropping down. And obviously he's doing all this. And a lot of people don't give Enzo Maresca credit for his squad management. I think that's something that he does very, very well, in the fact that last season we had Mauricio Pochettino bringing players in immediately from injury and getting them re-injured instantly, and then us struggling because we didn't have those players available. Now I see people complaining about the Brentford game and saying, "Oh, we're not playing we're not playing our strikers and stuff from the first, all this bollocks, right?" And it's because obviously you don't want to rush your striker who's just had an 8-week muscle injury back onto the pitch and force him to play 90 minutes. He's going to get re-injured. And people took that as oh, he's resting players for the Legia game, which I never took it that way. I always thought we were going to rotate players in this game. It's just one of those things where you don't want your striker playing a 90 minutes immediately after he's injured, and then playing another 90 minutes immediately after he's injured, and then playing another 90 minutes immediately after he's injured. It's just, it's silly, and I think it's very stupid. Again, it's just another case of that lack of patience. And yes, the Brentford game didn't go the way we wanted it, but we got 4 points from 2 games. We'll take it. We equaled the same result that City got as well, so that's perfectly fine. And yeah, and he comes into this game and proves that, yes, whilst he can set us up to be defensively solid, that's the thing a lot of people don't give him credit for, is the fact of how well we have improved defensively. Apart from individual mistakes, we've rarely ever actually put in bad defensive performances. This is another clean sheet for Jurgensen, in a hostile environment, again, in that really, really raucous home crowd that could make us feel pressure. Again, with this very young team, you need to remember this is the youngest team in the league on average age by an absolute mile, where it's just over 24, and that's including players like Bettinelli who never play. And that's the thing, right? I do sometimes give Enzo a bit of stick when I talk about his substitutions, and when I say he sometimes doesn't do his substitutions early enough. This was a great example of him being proactive, saying, "Hey, we know that Nkunku's not doing well in the 9. Let's give someone else an opportunity in the 9." He brings on Madueke, and he completely changes the game. And for that, let's talk about the final player, and that is Noni Madueke. Now, I'm going to put up the poll for True Blue, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere near close. Madueke was by far the best player on the pitch, despite him not playing for 90 minutes. Just genuinely, I've always said this. I said he's our best winger, and I've been saying this for ages, that we've been complaining. People in our fan base have been complaining, like, "Oh, we're so toothless up top, blah blah blah." And I keep saying it. I said, wait for Madueke and Jackson to come back from injury, and we'll be flying again. And guess what happens? He comes back from injury. He plays the first significant amount of football that he's done since doing that injury, and he immediately gets 2 goals. And I think does he get an assist as well? He might get an assist as well. I generally don't know. He was everywhere. Let me find what he gets in this game. He gets 2 goals. Does he get an assist as well? No, I don't think he does get an assist. No, he doesn't. But again, just it's everything about him that I love in a winger, and it's everything about this system that works when it works. And I always say this, is that we have the 1v1s out wide, and it's just imperative, and it's just the deciding factor of whether we play well in a game or play badly in a game is our wingers going to actually beat their men and take them on. He is a player that will always take on his man regardless of how the game is going. He's not a player that gets shy at taking on his man, and we saw that in this game where he just drives into the box. He creates the first goal for George as well from his run. just yeah. Again, it's just it's so. I've been saying it for so long. So I don't know why he gets so much disrespect, and people always say, "Oh, Sancho's our best winger," or "Oh, Neto's our best winger," and it's why I have the thing on the bingo card where it's like I've actually had it off for a while now, but it's the grass is always greener thing, right? Where whenever Neto plays and he plays poorly, everyone says, "Oh, we need Madueke back," and every time Madueke has a poor game, they go, "Oh, he's so bad. We need Neto in the thing," and it's just so fickle and stupid. And I'm not going to be that reactionary player. I think that Madueke is clearly our best winger from that right side, especially. And genuinely, there's an argument for us to do what I said we should do at the start of in my pre-match stream and play Madueke and George because they are the most kind of direct players. I personally think that if George is not going to get into the sorry, that my thing went really loud there. Oh, thank you for the membership. I believe, is that a membership? Yeah, it was a membership from Papa. I'm not going to try and pronounce your last part of your name. I'm going to butcher it. I apologise. But thank you very much. Welcome to the masses. You can now, I mean, you can join it anyway, but you can now get a special badges and stuff and emotes, and also a special little section in the Discord. So thank you for that. But yes, I've got completely thrown off my train of thought. Yeah, Madueke is again. He's. I think this is his 14th. Is it his 14th goal / assist? I think in this season. Which hang on, let me check that just so I'm not absolutely chatting breeze. He has. Call my stats. He currently has in the 24-25 season. He has. Okay, that's just the Premier League though. He scored in other games. He's got 10 in the league, but what's he got in the conference? Conference League stats. It's not coming up. Hang on, here we go. Let me go to the official UEFA website. Hopefully it'll tell me. Yeah, he's got 3 more, so he's got 10 in the league, so it's 13. It's £1 a month. Yeah, I've said this before when I made my memberships, because there's not too many perks and things like that. Has he got 3? It says he's got 2. I don't know if it's up. Oh, that's just for this match, I think. Oh no, it says at least the UEFA website says he's got 2 goals and 1 assist in the Conference League, but he's got 3. He's got 10 in the goal versus Servette. I don't think that counts particularly because that's a qualifier, so that's probably why it's not on the website. But yeah, good spot there. Oh my god, it's just done it again. That was so delayed. Why was that so delayed? That should be your alert now. I'm not sure why that was so delayed. That's one of my favourite noises in all of football, by the way. That banging of the gates at Stamford Bridge. But yeah, absolute superstar performance from Madueke all season. To be fair, he's been our best winger. I think apart from Jackson and Palmer, he's our 3rd most creative player in terms of getting those goal contributions in the side. So yeah, great from him. I will put out the poll, starter poll for the True Blue, because I always like you guys to have the democracy, let's say, of voting for whoever you want to. But I think it's fairly obvious. I'm gonna put in the players I would argue should be getting like man of the match. I'll put Benoit in. I think Benoit was pretty good. And the final player, let's do. I'm actually going to do Josh. I think he was very good. Boom. And whilst you guys put in your votes, I'm going to take a sip of my drink. My throat is hurting. Yeah, Enzo's been getting there soon. He's been racking up goals and assists recently, which he wasn't really doing at the start of the season. I think he might actually be up there as well. I should check that. How many has Enzo got now? I think he had 5 and 5. I don't know if he's got any more since then. Yeah, he's still got 5 and 5. 5 and 5 in the league. What has he got in the conference? I don't think he has anything in the conference. I'm not sure. Enzo Fernandez. He has got, if it loads, 1 goal and 3 assists actually. So he's got 14 as well. Oh, mono in Australia. It gets taken. Wait. Oh, I don't have the bingo. Don't have the bingo card. I don't have the bingo card up. Wait, hang on. I don't have my. Here we go. Boop. There we go. Nonny's the fucking goat. Yeah, I mean, he's a player that the reason why I like Nonny so much, and I think he gets a lot of stick because of his kind of demeanor. I would say I think a lot of people kind of rate Madueke in a certain, or they judge him in a certain way because he acts a certain way, or their perceived kind of notion of how he acts is a certain way. And I'm not gonna say the big R word specifically, but there is very much tones of this player is not liked because he is of certain identity. Let's just say, because I'm guaranteeing if we had a player that was let's just say a white player on that right hand side that was putting in his performances, I don't think he would get as much stick. Let's just say that. But yeah, I think he's been phenomenal this season. I really hope that he can push on for this. He's going to be so important in this run that we're going on against specific teams like Liverpool who like to play a high line, like Ipswich that will like to press on us at times. He's going to be really, really important to kind of get in and trying to get in behind and do his damage there. Also, I apologize. I've got such an interesting. It's such an itchy nose reason in this thing. I feel like I've been scratching my nose too much. I need to shave the mustache. But yeah, you guys have voted. I will end the poll, and we get if it will come up. There we go. We get Madueke, calling him Evil Saka, bro. It's weird. It's really weird. We're talking about we're doing a feeling blue. And True Blue is obviously Madueke, who I am in front of, so I'm going to move myself. We're doing a feeling blue, and I haven't mentioned Palmer once, and I think that's really kind of, again, I don't feel like Palmer was the player that I really needed to mention, because it's like, he didn't have a bad game, he didn't have a good game, but it's one of those things where he was kind of playing in this game for fitness rather than playing in the game to actually make things happen. In a way, I felt like today was just let's give you 45 minutes whilst we play the weaker team, and then you can kind of come off, and then Ipswich is the game. And I think this is the thing. Ipswich, and this sounds stupid because it's Ipswich, right? It's Ipswich. I think that Ipswich game could genuinely make or break our season. Like, if we do not absolutely batter Ipswich and Palmer doesn't get a goal or Jackson doesn't get a goal contribution or something like that, it is really, really kind of like a struggle for us to go into the next few games with confidence and be like, oh, we can get more goals. I really hope that Palmer kind of gets out of this funk, and obviously he got an assist in one of our recent games, but I think that's not enough for him. I think that he's the type of player that really wants to kind of get goals specifically. But yeah, hopefully when he gets his midfield, I think that's another thing I would say about Palmer. I mentioned how him and Jackson have this like specific kind of link up, and it's like that they have that kind of intuition with each other, that they know where each other's going to be, and they kind of search out for each other on the pitch. I think Palmer is just one of those players where if Jackson's not playing, he doesn't play very well. And it's kind of a thing here with like Nkunku playing, and it's kind of Palmer needs that player to make runs in behind so he can pick them out, or if he's not going to make that run in behind, he needs someone to bounce off of so he can take the ball and then get a shot off on goal. And Nkunku just kind of does neither. He kind of just drops into the 10 and kind of stands there and says, well, okay, give me the ball then. And I don't think it really kind of does very much. Again, that's the thing. Crimson's just pointed out Delap. I think that's part of the reason why I really want Delap to sign as well, because they've played together in the City youth team, and they did the same thing, right? They have the same thing where they can link up together really, really well, because they have the kind of, they have the same kind of, like style of play, him and Jackson, where they're both kind of boisterous and like to put themselves about and kind of link up with teammates. Does he want to come to us? I would suggest, there's the thing, right? I think that we're a team where he probably feels like he can get more game time with us, considering we've had striker troubles and they have already spent so much money on Xerxes and Hoyland and things like that. Obviously, Rashford will be coming back to them. I think he's on a loan, right? So Rashford will be coming back, and he's got good confidence. And because he's an ex-City player, I think there'll be a lot of kind of scrutiny on him if he suddenly signs for United. Because obviously because of the history between those two, that I think that he'll probably prefer to play for us. The only thing that I think that they offer more, and obviously United are just in general an absolute car crash of an institution at the moment, which would probably be something to avoid. But the only thing I think that they could really offer him that we can't, and obviously we get Champions League football next season as well, preferably, which they will not have. Or will they have? I don't know. I can't remember if they've won any cups or not. I don't follow United. They're so far down the league, I don't pay attention to them. But no, and the only thing that they offer that we can't is the wages. They're a team that obviously inherently pays large wages for players, and strikers are players that like to have high wages. I don't think there's much of a doubt in my mind that he moves from Ipswich this season. I don't think that he's going to be a player that likes to kind of be like, cool, we're going to get relegated and I'm going to stay in the Championship and try and help Ipswich get back up. I don't think that's the type of player he is. I think he's going to realise I'm good enough to play in the Premier League. I should be playing for a Premier League side. But yeah, I can see Delap cooking our defence again. What I think would be this sounds stupid because I don't want people to... I never want anyone to score against Chelsea, obviously. I think what the perfect scenario would be is if we batter Ipswich like by 4 goals and then Delap gets like a late goal in the 80th minute or something, so he still looks like a good player. So when we sign him, it's like, yeah, see, he's the only person that's scoring for them, that type of thing. I don't know, to be honest. Again, I don't really pay much attention to United in terms of the wages. I just know that again they've paid absolutely ridiculous amounts of money for in terms of wages for certain players, where we've really kind of gotten on top of that. A goal at 6-0, that would be perfect. A goal at 6-0. In fact, I don't actually know. Are Ipswich are pretty much guaranteed to go down, right? Because I think Wolves got that winner in the rubber match between the two. So I think they're pretty much guaranteed to go down. Is there any way that is there any way that we can like relegate them in this match? I don't know if it's mathematically possible for them to escape relegation if we beat them. Because I know Southampton have obviously been relegated. I think Leicester have been confirmed relegated now as well. We have Newcastle obviously won their game in hand on us, so they are now equal on points on us with a game in hand, which is a little bit worrying. They've got 20 points, and there's 7 games left, so that's 21. So they technically can, if they win every single one of their games, they can get out of the relegation zone, but I really don't think that they would. Who would I sign at left wing? I don't know how you feel about Williams. I personally was a big fan of Nico Williams. I think that he's one of those wingers that suits our system because he's a very kind of direct 1v1. If the rumors are true and we are in for Rodrigo, he's an absolute 100% a player we should get, because I think that he's really, really good for that left wing. I don't really know. Again, it's really hard because I don't really want Leao, even though he's kind of shown kind of a preference for Chelsea, and it's like he's kind of been the rumoured one for a while now. I don't think Leao is particularly a player that I would entertain. I think it would be too expensive for what he actually gives us. The other ones are like what you have, like Doué, who's very good. Barcola, I think he's very good. Honestly, it's really sad because we're getting Quenda in, and he's not available to play for us next season. I think he's staying for an extra season. He's coming in 2026. Gittins is one I've mentioned in the past. I think I did a video on him actually, saying that I wanted to see Jamie Gittins, or Jamie Bino Gittins as he was known back then. I've kind of said that I think that he would be a good acquisition, but I'm not sure if. Again, I'm not sure if he's too much of an improvement, and I'm so nervous about buying anyone from the Bundesliga, because the thing about the Bundesliga, and it's a great league, don't get me wrong, for what it is. But I think the thing about the Bundesliga is that every single team in the league, pretty much all of them, want to play progressive, good football. Whereas a lot of the teams in the Premier League are like, cool, we're going to sit back in a 5-4-1 and hope that you can break us down. And I think a lot of the wingers and forwards in that league are so used to having space in behind that they just don't get in the Premier League. Hence, like a Nkunku, like a Timo Werner that we've had before. And they just kind of turn up here and they go, well, there's no space, what do I do? And they kind of just stand around and do nothing. Swap Sancho for Jamie. Genuinely, I would definitely do that if we pay the 25 million optional clause to get him in. I would probably swap him for Jamie. I genuinely would. But yeah, I think it's sad now because Sancho is kind of showing now like, hey, cool, look, I'm still here. Hi. I think Barcola probably would be my pick. If we weren't going for someone absolutely insane, I think Barcola would be my pick. I just don't think he's going to go because of how recently he's kind of surged up in popularity. I think he'll want to stay in the first division for a while. Apart from that, I'm trying to think, is there any wingers from the Prem that I would buy? Semenyo, he's a good shout. I know a lot of people want Semenyo. A lot of people talk about Semenyo. I think he'd be too expensive. He's like valued at like 50 mil. I wouldn't pay 50 mil for Semenyo. I don't think he's that good. Who else? There's Anthony Gordon. I'm trying to think of like Prem wingers. Mitoma. I think again, Mitoma is another one of those players where I feel like he really thrives on having space in behind, and I think that's why certain against certain teams he looks so good, but against others he doesn't look as good, and why he's not had the greatest season this season in comparison to in previous seasons. Yeah, Gordon would be expensive. Esteval on the right. The thing is, I think Neto on the left doesn't really give us the thing that we want for our system. I think he's good on the left, but it makes us play in a certain way, and I think that you kind of have to. It basically, for me, it depends on who the striker is in the team at the time. If you've got someone like Delap or someone who's like a big target forward, like say we bring in Osimhen, for example, even though he's not my first pick for a striker. Say we brought in Osimhen, I think that playing Neto on the left-hand side would be great because he can blaze past his fullback, put the ball into the box, and hopefully we can get something from it. Whereas if we're playing like someone like Nico, for example, like Nico Jackson, he's not going to be that player that gets on the end of things in the box. He kind of needs someone to come inside and play off him and then get the shots off themselves. Whereas why I think you need a kind of a right footer there. And again, we've got to have so many left-footed wingers. We've got Palmer. Cunha would be a good shout. I don't think Gittins would like Sean Dyche's 11-man Everton low block. I don't think anyone likes that, to be honest. I certainly don't. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. I've dragged this on for long enough. I should rest my throat. My voice is getting hard. We could talk about more transfer news and stuff as we kind of move on. I said I'm going to try and do a tactical breakdown for this game. I don't think it will come out tomorrow, but possibly the day after. And then we've got Ipswich, of course. Is it on the weekend? Is it on the weekend? Let me see. Chelsea versus Ipswich. Yes, it's on Sunday. It's an afternoon kickoff on Sunday. So obviously I probably won't have time with doing the tactical breakdown to do a lead-in video, but so I'll probably do a pre-match stream then. And I'll see you guys all then as well. As I said, thank you guys for hanging out as ever. Thank you for the membership as well today. I appreciate that very much. And as I always say,